Shulem. It's been a day. It's like I haven't seen you in a while.
Very long time.
Yeah.
Very long time. You look amazing, though.
I do?
Yeah, you do.
I gained a bunch of weight.
Yeah, it's okay.
But it's good.
I look from there up.
Yeah.
But
So it's been a while, and it's interesting, like with people that I know from way back, and then we just check in here and there, and we can both sense how we both completely changed in so many ways.
Oh.
That's when it's like, okay, dude, we should podcast and not just get on a call, because the stuff you're up to is very, very interesting.
So I am a regenerative farmer.
What does that mean?
Regenerative farmer means that the conventional way of farming is actually destroying the earth and everything that's in nature. Plowing a field and leaving it tilled for the sun to bake on it will kill every microorganism and every microbiome that's in the soil, which depletes.
So what do you mean when a tractor goes over and plows a field in order to plant?
Correct.
So that ruins the field?
That does ruin the soil.
Really?
And especially if it leaves it uncovered, because nature is very modest. Nature likes to cover itself. If you're going to take a shovel and scrape off in your front yard a patch of grass, what's going to happen? Come back a week later, you're going to have weeds on it.
Right.
Because nature always wants to cover itself. But if
It's amazing how much you know. How much you know about this stuff, and I know zero.
Well,
like any word you say, I'm like, oh, that's how weeds work. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, you could look at weeds as a like an intruder, but
Yeah.
weeds are great because weeds
They cover
the soil, and they maintain the moisture in the soil, and it protects the microbiome that's going on in the soil.
Okay.
So it will continue to capture the solar energy and transfer it into the soil.
Right.
So the soil now is healthy. So
because it has the weeds, which captures
because it has the weeds, and because it has a full microbiome. If you take 1 spoon of you could call it dirt, but I like to call it earth, and you look it under microscopically, you're going to find millions and millions of living organisms.
Right.
And all that plays a role in a plant.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to plant a vegetable, that plays a role in how nutrient dense that vegetable is going to be.
Mm-hmm. So when a tractor goes on a field and
with the big combine engines,
what does that do?
And that tills it. What they want to do is they want to kill all the vegetation that's on there,
so they can plant.
So they can plant new stuff. But then they have a problem that they kill the whole microbiome, and now they're putting in seeds. How is it going to germinate?
So what, they have to add stuff.
So now they have to add stuff. So now they have a corn, or they have a carrot growing there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice big carrot. Looks like a carrot. Smells like a carrot. May even taste like a carrot, but it ain't no carrot.
Why? Because the stuff they put there.
Because first of all, it's full of the stuff that they sprayed is a bunch of different dangerous stuff. Which one of the top of it is glyphosate.
Okay, so about that. Okay, like how dangerous is it really?
Super.
Because so you guys are all healthy eaters, like you don't buy shelf produce.
No.
Like you're at it like 100%.
Correct. Only if it's certified organic, and I know approximately where it comes from.
Because not all of them. That's what I've been hearing. That not everything that's certified organic is actually safe.
It's what the government is. What the government will certify as organic.
Right. Yeah.
Really
I lately heard something crazy. The other day we explored a natural powder that's supposed to be from 3 ingredients only for ADHD.
Correct.
And we used it, and it works magic. But then it gave my son the same symptom as a medication did, and we're like, wait.
Right.
So I went to someone. And then they explained to me that they can actually put in lab-made stuff, medication, like as long as it's below a certain level. So they can put a box with only 3 ingredients and say that it has only, I think it had like 3 really good ingredients, which on their own are actually really good for ADHD.
Right.
But because he had the side effect that he had, I'm like, wait, there's no way from oregano he has the side effect.
Right.
So
but here's the tricky thing. ingredients.
Yeah.
Right? They have the right ingredients, but the question is, how do they take out that vitamin from the fruit?
Right.
Let's say if it's oregano, right? It's how do they take out?
I don't know.
Whatever they took out from the. It's not just they put it in a blender and put it outside on the back porch to dry out and put it in a capsule.
Okay, right. It's I don't know. I picture factories and machines.
Here's the problem. It's factories and machines, and it's chemically also.
Oh.
To break up the molecules.
Right.
All right, and
they'll scientifically figure out what breaks it up.
But they do that with chemicals.
Right.
Now the chemicals stay in there. But the problem is the chemicals is not an ingredient, so they don't have to write on the label.
So that's a problem across the board with ingredients.
Absolutely.
That people put in stuff.
That's a problem across the board with vitamins. Because most vitamins are chemically processed. How they take it out from the fruit or the vegetable.
And it's below the amount that it needs to say on the ingredients, and now they get
even if it's above the amount, it doesn't have to say because it's not an ingredient. It's a process that they do.
So anything that's part of the process doesn't belong in ingredients. Exactly. So if they use a soap or oil for the machine, it doesn't need to say in the ingredients.
It does not.
The whole world is like this? The whole Western world?
Not really.
Or there's countries that are more regulated?
European countries are more strict.
Why do you think that is?
First of all, glyphosate.
What is that?
Glyphosate is a pesticide.
What is that?
That is what we consider gold, which is microorganisms living in the earth. They view it as pests because they don't want that growing on their crops.
Who is they? Wait,
the farmers.
So the farmers consider
because if they have an apple picking from a fresh tree and it has a tiny hole because a worm wants no consumer wants to buy that. It has to be shiny, it has to be big, it has to be juicy.
Right.
So how do they get that bug not to go in there? They're going to spray stuff on it.
Right, and then we eat it. So how dangerous, that was my question before. Like, I'm conceptually into health, but in reality, I'm not directly afraid to bite into any apple. Like, I'll choose organic because it seems like a good choice, but not because I'm, like, how directly connected are these things that they put on fruits and consuming it on a day-to-day?
So it's very deep and it's very, very connected. You are basically what you eat. Let me ask you a question like this. Your car needs to take regular gas. You decide once a week you're putting in 1 gallon of diesel. Yeah,
it's not going to drive far.
It's going to drive.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you put in a half a gallon of diesel to a 20-gallon regular tank.
It's going to drive, right.
It's going to drive. You'll be all right. The next week, Sunday, that's your Sunday thing. You put in, and the next Sunday, you're going to put in a cup of tea in there. It's going to drive. But all of a sudden, you're going to start losing energy. Your car is not going to drive as well. It's going to make a problem. It's going to smell. It's going to try to drive up that hill. The air conditioner is going to slow down because the engine is going too high. You're going to start experiencing problems slowly but surely, right?
Right.
And then when it finally says enough is enough and it breaks down, you go to a mechanic. That mechanic will never ask you, what type of gas did you put in?
Right.
Because they're not trained for it.
Right. They're going to treat the symptom. That's how this whole system works.
If my body is not functioning right, I'm tired, I'm weak, I'm cranky, I'm nervous, I'm not dealing with stress properly, I'm going to go to a doctor. When was the last time you went to a doctor and the doctor asked you, how many hours of sleep do you get a day?
Yeah.
What's your diet?
Right.
Not just tell me, I eat breakfast. No, tell me specifically what you eat.
Right.
Right. All that, your body is not going
There's
to...
There's a book I'm going to share with you. It's called The Well-Lived Life, and it's written by 102-year-old doctors, 6 secrets to health and happiness at every age. So what she's an MD, but a mother of holistic medicine. I think she developed the American Institution for Holistic Medicine. Phenomenal book. And she talks about that literally word to word of what you're saying.
Wow.
And it's really like, I'm really hearing it. And I resonate with it a lot. I do think, like, at one point, my doctor said I have chronic fatigue. And I don't have chronic fatigue.
No, it's not true. But have you ever asked your doctor to explain to you what chronic fatigue is? Well, you came to the doctor because you told him you're always tired, right?
Yeah, that I'm tired all the time.
So what does he tell you? He gives you a certificate.
No,
you have chronic fatigue.
First I did a lot of blood work. And then they're like, everything looks normal, you have chronic fatigue. And even I know that
yeah, but chronic fatigue, it became they made a diagnosis that is called literally what you came for. You came because you're always tired, and there's you have chronic fatigue. I know that. That's why I came to you.
I like that thing. Now you have a certificate.
No, now you could walk home. Yeah, I have chronic. Oh no, I'm not always tired. I have chronic fatigue.
Yeah.
Now I have the right to say, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that because hey,
I have chronic fatigue. Yeah, I know that with anxiety a lot, and chronic anxiety, chronic depression. Never ever. I'm never saying this, what I'm about to say, to downplay how difficult and torturous depression and anxiety is and can be. I'm not downplaying that in any way. But the label chronic could sometimes not be helpful because it means I have nothing to do about it and there's no hope for me.
Right.
And the only thing I can do is treat the symptom with a lot of medication. And
probably the word chronic is basically apocalypsis.
Right, because it claims that my essence is...
Right, so I can't change, I won't change, and I might as well just live life without changing, and everybody's going to have to change around me because I'm not changing.
Right.
I'm not going to become better.
Right, not at all. But if chronic is a way to explain how difficult it is, then yes. But that's not what it is.
It's not.
It's just like, okay, it's the end of the rope. There's nothing else I can do. Let me just like survive life and not... and not try more and do more. So I hear that about this whole symptom treatment and all that.
Let me give you a personal story. My wife and I were trying to get pregnant, and after a while, we started going to doctors. Right, so the doctors are focusing on her. Turns out she had a cyst, so it was removed, and doctors said, within a few weeks or within a few months, I think it was, you'll be pregnant.
How old is the baby?
The baby is 7 weeks.
So tiny.
And it's not so tiny anymore.
And it's so cute.
Yeah. Basically, until we went to another doctor. The doctor's like, I don't know. So one doctor said, well, how about you, Mr. Gelbman? She's okay. So they started taking blood work for me and whatever. You can't have kids. Okay. What do you mean I can't? Yeah. So chances are that you weren't really able to, and those babies that you had before is just an accident, or basically they said you can't have kids, and nobody ever asked me about my health.
How long ago was this?
4 years ago.
Wow.
3.5 years ago.
Wow.
And the doctor was like, it's either IVF or nothing. And we looked at each other and we're like, we're good. We got 3 kids. We're good. All right. This is what it is. This is what it is. And then before that, I was diagnosed with arthritis. Okay. So again, I was diagnosed. I got a certificate to have arthritis. Now I have the right to have back pain, right?
Right.
So it got to a point that I was chronically ill in bed. I was not able to move, especially those times when it accelerated and it was really inflamed. And I started going from one doctor to the other, and the doctor said basically that he prescribed me a self-injecting medication. It's called Humira. And super expensive. It arrived in this styrofoam box with red tape on it. And
that's real business.
I'm like, this is real stuff. I'm about to inject this into my body. So we're like holding off. It stayed in the fridge. And then, one day it was so severe. And I told my wife, that's it. I'm taking it. And we read the instructions. I'm like, so the side effects is either death or leukemia or whatever.
Oh, right.
I'm like,
yeah.
So, again, went back to the fridge, and then I took it out again. I said, I just couldn't take the pain. I was literally bedbound. My wife said she just read someplace that turmeric is an anti-inflammatory.
Right.
It's a natural anti-inflammatory. Give it a try. She ran out to the health food store, and she brought home some turmeric pills, and I took it. Within days, I was out of bed.
Wow.
I'm not talking about within. It's not like a Tylenol or Advil or whatever. But within days, the inflammation went down.
Wow.
And I started moving.
Wow.
And then I started looking into, I'm like, wait, so
that's when your journey began?
That's where a light bulb went on, that if...
And you didn't have the farm before that, right?
No, I had a farm in my backyard.
Oh, I remember.
But it was never in a holistic understanding.
Oh, it was for having the kids play and having animals and that.
Yeah. Right. And I wasn't into organic or pasture raised or rotational grazing and all that. That was all new to me.
So that's when it something came on.
So a light bulb went on that, wait, if a plant was able to extinguish the fire, what is fueling the fire?
Oh, what a great question.
There has to be a fire, and something is fueling it.
Right.
So
something is causing the inflammation.
So I signed up to YouTube University.
That's a thing?
YouTube University. I went on YouTube and I sat...
You're joking. Okay. When I English, you know. Halve. You know, I'm half Hungarian, half Yerushalmi, but the jokes, I got the English
part.
And it's always so embarrassing that I don't get it. But okay. I'm true to my roots.
That makes two of us. I'm also very bad in hopping jokes. As a matter of fact, probably when I heard it, I also didn't have the first minute.
Because I right away start thinking, what did I miss?
Yeah.
But so you signed up to YouTube University.
Yeah. And I started looking at what causes inflammation, what causes arthritis.
So arthritis is inflammation.
Arthritis is basically it's extra material growing around your joints. Mm-hmm. But it's being caused by inflammation. It all comes because your body is inflamed. Why is the body inflamed? Why do you have high cholesterol? It's not because you eat too much eggs. Mm-hmm. The doctors will tell you, oh, you eat 4 eggs, you got to go down to 2. That will lower your cholesterol. But it's not like that. Mm-hmm. So I quickly learned that the food that we eat, it is so bad and so destructive and so inflammatory that I need to take anti-inflammatories. So slowly but surely, we started more and more and more. And we took baby steps, It's one thing at a time.
And you guys did it together, you and your wife?
Yeah.
So you researched together. You shared.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
She's now a bigger fanatic than I am. Huh. Yeah. But it's not like we don't enjoy life.
And the arthritis...
I'm physically working on a farm every single day. No pain. No Tylenol, no Humira, no Advil, no other strong medication, nothing. I'm off everything.
And how's the emotional component have to do with all this?
Everything is emotional. Really? Everything.
So one feeds the other. So food will cause more anxiety, and the more anxiety will cause more endorphins depletion. And then, in your map, the food will cause, bad food will mess with the body. Mm-hmm. Right, and then that'll cause inflammation.
Food you're going to eat food, but whatever bad ingredients that food has is that extra cup of diesel that you're putting into the engine. So it's not about what you eat. It's about how was that made. Mm-hmm. For example, people ask, how do they change? I said the very, very first thing that I would do is, before you get overwhelmed, is take note of this. If it's an item that is capable to be made in your kitchen, then your body is designed to digest it. Mm-hmm. If you need a lab or a big factory in order to make that, then your digestive system is not designed for that. Because
even if it's safe extract, what if the lab, the machine has the ability to extract in a safe way?
I believe so.
Right, the turmeric, a machine grinds it. A machine. Oh, you can do it in your kitchen. You can encapsulate it in your kitchen.
Absolutely.
You can do a lot of things in your kitchen.
I buy fresh turmeric, and I cook it up, and I drink it. Huh. I don't do it every day. But
so you're talking about ingredients that are lab-made or chemicals that are lab-made, and it's impossible to make it.
It's not only that, if they do mass production, right?
So why do they do that? In order to be able to...
In order to mass produce.
Lower the price.
No, because they have to feed the country on a very low-cost input in order to maximize profits.
Mm-hmm. So it's all about for them to make more money.
Absolutely. Cheaper food.
Because if someone decides, okay, I want to make it more healthy, it'll simply be more expensive. It'll go out of business.
It's going to be more expensive. My chicken and my eggs are
I actually have a guest ate when we Shabbos, and we spoke about organic. They're like, oh, I buy from back in the hay farm.
No way.
Right here, 5 minutes from here. I'm like, no way, I know the guy.
Really?
And she said it's pricey but worth it.
The manpower that goes into caring for these chickens, it's not like just, we lock them up in a warehouse and we have cameras watching them.
That's what mass warehouse, that's what they have?
Yeah, they have on a concrete floor. They'll put in the chickens in a warehouse without any sunlight, no fresh air, no grass, no bugs, no natural behavior.
Then what do they give them?
Corn and soy, cheap food, highly processed food.
And grass is more expensive?
But why would I want to buy grass to feed it to them when I can actually take the chicken and put it out on grass?
Right, but why don't they do it? Why is it cheaper to buy, like bought corn kernels rather than putting them on
corn kernels? It will blow up the chicken way faster than just feeding them a couple of blades of grass. Yeah, it's carbs. It has protein.
And then it's a lot more labor intense to move chickens around on a farm. I've been watching. I was off WhatsApp for a couple of months, so it was really cool. A disclaimer, I still post, but I was off looking, scrolling. So I didn't see what you were up to in 7 months probably. And then I'm like, whoa, the place got big. Whoa, there are workers. Whoa, there's a tractor.
Yeah.
So for those who want, I can share your info. I don't know if you want to I'll just share your email or maybe I'll put your phone number. But whoever follows your status is going to have a very interesting real life journey of what it looks like and what you do.
Yeah, I actually have a WhatsApp group for those people who are not really customers, but they want to see. I posted on that. If you watch your status, I think you have to have my phone number and their phone number.
Oh, so the group, you can just the link. So I'll share that so people can watch. It's pretty fascinating, and I'm not copying how you got to where you are. So I understand. Okay, let's do timeline. The bulb came on.
Let's rewind.
How do you do this? How do you know how to do this?
Right. So we humans are nature, right? We are part of nature. I just told the guy the other day, came to the farm and I took him for a tour, and he's like, we went into the whole conversation of nature. And I'm like, we are also nature. So we're standing here over these ducks, right? We're talking about wow, look how they behave and look how cute they are and they eat the grass and all that, right? It's amazing. Oh, I love nature, right? I said, you know what these ducks are talking about right now?
Look at these two giraffes.
We are
with beards.
No, but we are also nature.
We
are literally just like them.
Yeah.
Also from nature, naturally living, and part of that tree. We're part of the grass.
Right.
Right. We can go out barefoot and hug a tree and actually ground ourselves because that's who we are.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm saying it is because I'm not going to say, I grew up loving nature and loving animals, because everybody does. Even those people who grew up in the city and they say, ew, deep inside they have it in them. Everybody loves nature and everybody wants to be in nature. So ever since I remember myself, I was very into animals. And my father fed that. He helped me out with that. He would bring home a goat. He would bring home some ducks and some chickens and some rabbits and some pigeons and the fish tank and whatnot. As a kid, I was constantly busy. And I enjoyed being outdoors as well. And when the teacher would complain to my parents that I'm not focusing in class, little did they know that my head was on a farm. I dreamt and I daydreamed one day I'm going to have a farm. And the vision that I had on a farm was the experience that I had. I envisioned having a building with a bunch of stalls, and every stall is going to have different animals. So people will be able to come with their kids to enjoy and to see all different types of animals.
Wow.
That was a dream that I had ever since I remember myself.
Wow.
My life change happened when that light bulb happened. YouTube, the algorithms, the way it works, I would sit in hours and hours and research farms, and it would still be in the conventional way, in a building on a concrete floor. But when I started researching anti-inflammatory and more healthier living, all of a sudden the holistic farm stuff started popping up. And I bumped into a podcast that Joel Salatin gave. Joel Salatin is my Rebbe when it comes to farms. So I bumped into Joel Salatin, a podcast that he had. Actually, it was a speech by a conference. And I was blown away by what he was talking about on the way he farms by following nature. And one of the things that blew me away is I all of a sudden had these flashes that the Torah talks about these things.
Really?
The Torah talks about that animals were never locked up in one paddock and fed in a feedlot.
All right.
Right? Because Yosef had to be sent looking for the brothers, not knowing where they are today, because they didn't go back where they were yesterday.
What you're referring to explain
rotational grazing,
which means you move them from one place to the other.
Correct.
So
give them fresh pasture, letting the yesterday's pasture recover from the grazing, recover from the hoof impact that it would make on the soil, because their hooves, the cow's hooves, will aerate the soil. It will maneuver it and massage it, allow more oxygen to come in, and they'll spread their manure on it.
Wow. So the animals will contribute to what the field needs.
Of course. It will heal.
And as soon as you put chemicals, none of that happens.
No, you don't have any of that.
And the only reason they don't do this, because this seems so simple. I mean, it's labor intense because you keep moving.
It's labor intense.
It's just more expensive.
Right. If you need one cow per acre per day, imagine how many acres you.
Because they eat a lot.
Right. If I give them corn and they eat grass, why do they need such a big property? So if I could bring in all the animals in one area and just feed them once a day or twice a day with a big tracker,
it's way cheaper.
It's way cheaper, and it which keeps the cost down for the consumer.
Right.
But guess what else is cheap? The quality.
Right.
So you eat a steak, but you're not getting the nutrients that a steak is supposed to give you. People are still low in vitamin A and vitamin D and iron and everything that red meat's supposed to give you.
Right.
Well, I eat a lot of red meat. Well, guess what? It has
it's
no
missing
iron.
A lot of.
When was the last time that red meat actually saw sunlight before it was processed?
Wow. So
Probably
all these different parts of nature are contributing to one another.
Absolutely.
Right. The sun and then the soil and the animals give the soil and the soil give the animals.
Of course. And it all comes back to us because we're part of that nature cycle. We're supposed to get nutrients from all this, but we're not, because we're eating food that looks like something, it feels like something, but it's actually depleted. It's absolutely depleted from nutrients.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating how simple it is to. It's like the weirdos do what's completely natural and completely simple and completely self-regulated and self-maintaining.
Right.
And the rest of the people do what's really, really complicated. How much more of a budgeting, if someone spends $400 a week on groceries with regular stuff, how much is it going to cost as soon as they start doing healthy, like good stuff, good organic, good chicken, good meat?
So
I guess flour, grains too, same thing.
So I don't know about the chicken and all that because I never had to pay hard cash for that.
Right.
Because I'm raising it myself. But one thing I could tell you from personal experience, besides eggs and chicken, is that it's the same grocery bill.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you don't buy chocolates and you don't buy candies and you don't buy and you don't buy plastics, paper goods. You don't buy sodas. You don't buy juices. You don't buy.
So what do you give your kids for when they want to treat?
What do they? When do they want? If they
want,
if you
want to give them something sweet, what do you give them?
Halva.
Oh, nice! That's delicious. All right. So you find things that are good. Oh, maple syrup stuff is delicious.
Right. No.
Oh, and I heard now after the fire we had. I heard now. Oh, just watch the maple syrup going up to like $15 a little bottle.
Right.
But yeah.
And everything is being imported from Canada. Yeah. To that point, when what I want to give my kids, it's a fine line where you suddenly become very into in tune in what you're eating and what you're buying, and I would suddenly expect everybody around me, like my wife and kids, to follow suit, right? I see this a lot happening where they don't want to buy candy, but the kids are like, "What do you mean? I need candy, right?" But you could explain to them from today to tomorrow it's not good for you. But if they don't have the proper understanding, and if they're not up to it, we can't force it.
How old is your youngest?
My youngest now
Besides
is 7
the baby.
weeks, but
What
we have a 10-year-old.
Oh, 10. So I saw him on your farm before. He gets it? He's into it?
Oh, yeah. First of all, it's very interesting that he never liked candy.
Huh.
Very funny. He's a chocolate junkie, though.
Chocolate could be healthy.
Chocolate
Plenty
could be
of
healthy.
chocolate.
Well, the funny thing is that also I ate chocolate a couple of weeks ago, and the next morning I had such back pain.
Really?
I think it's the I don't know what it is, but it's chocolate. I tried it. I tried it again, and it happened
Healthy
again.
chocolate?
Healthy chocolate.
Like clean.
Healthy. What they write on the label, healthy. So, but do I really know what's in there?
Right. That's the question. Like that ADHD thing. Like it says only 4 ingredients, but it definitely has some serious stuff in it.
Right.
Yeah.
But even ADHD, you can buy healthy stuff that has red number 40 and yellow number 5 and all these nonsense, right? Which is directly linked to ADHD.
For sure.
You can buy healthy stuff with those bad stuff in them.
Right.
So
right, they'll write if it's below a number, they don't need to even write what it has.
We were doing a camping site on the farm last year. So Shabbos morning before davening, we're schmoozing a whole bunch of people, and there was a lady there giving breakfast to her kids. And as she's rolling up that Fruity Pebble bag, she's telling me how much more healthy they eat today's days. And I'm like,
we have Fruity Pebble war in our house. My kids love it.
Of course.
My wife can't stand it. She's like, out of everything unhealthy, that's like the worst.
Of course. No, of course they'll love it. Because the brain wants that, right? You give a treat for the brain. It gives them a kick of sugar. Of course they want it. It's an addiction.
Right. You're saying with your kids, they aren't like the junk eaters.
My oldest.
How old is your oldest?
19.
Wow.
He's in Israel. He knows. He's figuring it out slowly, but he's not following along.
Right.
All right. He'll go out and buy himself a Coke and whatnot, and
right.
Yeah. But slowly but surely, he's figuring it out.
Right.
My 14-year-old enjoys candy. She likes candy, but she is definitely doing much better by just making
So everyone
choices.
is on their own journey with that.
It's another thing I say. It's not about what you eat sometimes. It's about what you eat all the time.
Right.
Okay. I don't go out to restaurants. I'll go out to a restaurant with my wife and eat a good steak. I'll do that. It's not gonna hurt me. It's not gonna kill me. Because it's not about what you eat sometimes. Not what you eat all the time. Right. It's about what you eat all the time. What is
That's
your
really
basic
good.
lifestyle?
That's your line? Is that a coin?
Don't know.
Can you coin it?
I don't know. What is coining it?
Like it becomes yours. You put your name under it.
I don't know. I don't know if I heard it someplace or it's mine.
It's a really good one.
But it's really the truth because it's what you're chronically exposed to. What is your basic diet every single day in, day out?
Right, instead of focusing on the once a while, it's really about focusing what's my day-to-day and what lifestyle, what am I mostly filling myself with.
If you work out every day and then you don't work out one day, nothing is going to hurt you.
Well, my workout game changed when I stopped committing to not failing. I decided about a year ago that I'm going to commit to starting again. And in the last year, I started many times again. I had a question earlier. You said that when they dig up the soil, that it ruins like the natural. So how does healthy avoid that?
So you have to dig up, and we see that also on the Torah that they were doing that, right? They would attach on the ox, those things. But that would make one scratch and drop in the seeds in that scratch. It's not
so it's not about plowing the whole thing.
Destroying the whole entire
It's just enough to drop a field.
Correct. But what we know now also is that all the grasses and vegetation that grows in between those two lines that they just scratched will take away all the nutrients from the plants that we just planted.
So how do you manage that?
Exactly. We could manage that by spraying it and killing it.
What's the other option?
The other option is covering it on a eco-friendly way is actually wood chips. Because the problem is if you have plastic, first of all, you have more heat on your plants, and that now you have to have extra irrigation to water those plants.
Right.
But if you put wood chips, which you can get for free from all different tree companies in your area, and you spread that out in your field, that will choke the grass and weeds from growing, but it will allow your plant to come through. And also what that does is it covers nature, because nature is very modest and it wants to be covered.
So it helps.
And it's a moisture retention.
Right.
It will help retain the moisture.
Right.
So you don't have to have heavy irrigation.
And again, why is it more expensive? Because of the labor.
Because labor. Now you need... And if you go out in the field and you see...
Oh, and then you have a fruit that go bad, like animals bite off.
So there's organic things how you can deal with that and how you can treat it.
Right.
But don't forget another thing, that every microorganism, let's call it bacteria, okay? So you have good bacteria and you have bad bacteria. And if you have a proper balance between the good ones and the bad ones, usually everything
they balance out.
But if you spray something for a bad pest that you want to get rid of, that's an invitation for a different pest. If you're going to go and you shoot all your coyotes in your area, you can have an infestation of rabbits and deer.
Right.
So
because everything is balanced out by being the way it is.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. I will create I call it a rabbitat, not a habitat. I'll create an habitat where rabbits could live on the farm, so that hawk could actually get rabbits instead of my chickens.
You do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
If a tree falls down, I'm not going to shred it up and take it away. I'll cut up the branches and leave it as is for rabbits to come and start living there.
So you you invite nature and all its parts in the way you want them.
It's not inviting nature; it's working with nature.
What's there, yeah.
Because we are all part of it. So how can I fit in here?
So in self-help, there's this one word that's cringy, which is allow. Just let it be. And so much more can... the other day I spoke to someone and we said, like, if you can create everything you did from being so scared, imagine what you can create from without being scared. Wow. And I think that's what it is. If you let things just be, and you influence with, you basically bring your contribution to what's there.
Right.
And then one sort of feeds the other.
One feeds the other.
So how do you learn this? How do you know all this?
I started reading. I started reading a lot and listening a lot to mentors, to people that do this, people who have tried it and are successful in it.
And you still need research as you go.
I don't have as much time anymore to do research.
But the basic understanding of how it works.
It's very simple. When I run into a problem on the farm, I used to Google, find the solution, and give it, right? Google, okay, it's ivermectin, and then you just give it the antibiotic and you're done, right? But now it's like, okay, where does it come from? Why would they develop this problem? So if I would see my chickens that I'm going to have a lot of trifina chickens because they had a virus on their feet, right? So, I could put something down on the floor so that virus is not being discovered. So that they don't get the virus. Right.
Whoa, that's stuff you deal with.
But if
that's crazy.
But if I say, hey, where does the virus come from? It's come from too much moisture on the floor. So the first 3 weeks of a chicken, we keep them indoors because they need to. It's called a brooder. They need to be in a environment instead of their mother. Mommy will usually keep them warm under their feathers.
So you
but if I have 300 chickens at a time...
The first one you made was winter, if I remember, on the farm. It was freezing cold.
Yes.
Oh my God, and you put the heaters and the temperature thing.
Right. So if you don't figure out your square footage right of how many chickens you're putting into one area, then the floor is going to become too wet from their manure, and that will cause a certain virus to come on their feet.
And then the chickens are not kosher.
And then when it comes to shechita, you have so many non-kosher.
Why? So they're not kosher because of
kosher. Yeah, that's called sumasagidin. It's a problem with the feet. So I could go and give them antiviral stuff and all that, but
And then
like,
it saves
where
you
does that
a
come?
lot of money.
Yeah, but then I'm like, okay, where does that come from? Okay, so basically I overcrowded them because the floor is wet. So I split them up, and I started a protocol where we add more compost on the bedding
as they get bigger
to dry up the moisture. And we just did a shechita yesterday of 300 chickens. We had 0.
Wow.
0. My first harvest that I did, I had 6%.
Wow. And that is because you looked at the root.
Because I went to the root.
Went to the root.
And
to the
you know what it costed me? Nothing.
Right.
Actually, yeah, you could look at that it cost me. I needed to have more brooder space, maybe more lighting and electricity. But guess what?
Yeah, but nothing compared to how much you would lose.
But I'm not giving them any antiviral because whatever healthy viruses there is there, they wouldn't have gotten it. Their immune system would have been shot.
Wow.
I need to build an immune system.
So when you started, you didn't know that this can happen even.
Right.
I'm thinking of my day. I told you before, like today I'm having an interesting day because of some car I'm trying to buy and it's just not working with this car market and loans. And anyway, I'm thinking, so when you're coming, I'm thinking live on a farm with hundreds of animals. So many things can go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
What do you do? Like, what do you do when you show up and it's all hell broke loose? Like, it's a mess, at least in the beginning. Like, everything you built is broken. I remember, like, winter destroyed animals. Like, what do you...
Yeah. We had a hurricane last year where all the chicken tractors went airborne and we lost a bunch of chickens.
Oh, my. How did you handle it?
Really? I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel very bad, and I would learn from the mistake. I would learn, not a mistake, I would learn from nature, right? This is also part of nature. So what do? Okay, so the
first phase is like, what am I going to do now?
What am I going to
do? And then you
now?
sort of like start again. Like,
right.
Let me learn, let me figure this out.
It depends how crucial it is. Do I need to respond right now, or can I take a 5-minute break?
Mm-hmm.
If it needs me right now, because otherwise more chickens are going to die.
Oh, then you right away
then
get
I need
to work.
to go right away. But if it could wait 5 minutes,
then you'll give yourself the.
then I'll go into the woods, take my shoes off, and sit down on a tree or on a stone, and just breathe.
Wow, and ground yourself and process. You do this often?
Very often.
Wow. You're out there yourself on a day-to-day? You're there every day, by the way?
Yeah, now I am, yeah.
So it's full-time?
It's full-time now.
But it wasn't, right?
It wasn't until very recently.
Wow. So you would do this regularly? You'll like ground yourself in nature and do it's a practice? Do you have a specific method to it, or you just go out in the woods and you connect?
I follow a lot Wim Hof's breathing methods and stuff. Because I realized that by reacting to the current moment is never going to end well. I'm not thinking straight because my head runs further. How much money am I losing? How am I ever going to recover?
Right.
But right now, I can't think about those things. Right now, I have to think about right now. What do I need to do right now? It's raining and it's pouring and you have chickens out in the field. What do you do right now?
Wow. So that was a big one, like when the hurricane.
Yeah.
Didn't you have animals? Were eating animals at one point?
Right. So that, Baruch Hashem, ever since I came on the farm, we didn't have a problem with predators that much. I used to have that problem in my backyard. But again, locking them in a warehouse is one solution.
Right.
Right. But how do you deal with nature? You have a raccoon that is hungry. And the only thing it knows, it smells a chicken. It wants to get into the chickens.
They're vicious.
They're vicious. That's a big problem. And you know, I feel bad for the damn raccoon. I would want to give him I would give him a chicken if he comes and asks. But they don't do that. They come in, they'll work all night long, decapitating all the chickens, and then he'll eat as much as you can eat.
Oh my God.
So listen, you want a chicken, come take a chicken and run.
But they don't do that. No, they start killing.
They'll knock the whole flock out.
They're like the chickens can't defend themselves from raccoons.
If they're locked in a place.
That happened to your place ever?
So it happened in my backyard a few times.
No. It was probably horrible.
That's the problem when I have a permanent structure without looking into nature. So the minute I have portable structures, so the raccoon comes one night, he had a hard time getting in. So he comes back the next night with his mother and his brother.
Really?
Yeah.
They try.
Yeah.
They don't get anywhere, and then they come back with more.
Oh yeah.
What do? They bite off. They chew off the.
They'll whatever they need to do to get in depends on your design that you have.
Wow.
But here's the question. The next day, they come back. The next night they come back. That chicken coop is not where they saw it the night before.
They remember.
Oh yeah.
Where
GPS,
they track.
Of course.
Wow.
So now the whole chicken tractor. It's not a coop. It's a movable chicken coop, or portable chicken coop, is in a different spot, and it's a different angle, and whatever strategy they had last night, they have to rethink right now.
And they can't figure this out in one night.
They could if they wouldn't have a livestock guardian dog. So we have the fact that we move them, the fact that every chicken that every flock has a livestock guardian dog.
The white dogs?
The white dogs.
How many do you have now?
I have 5.
Wow. Do you love them?
No.
No?
No.
The beginning you did.
No, because again, do you love your employees? Yeah, that's how much I love them.
Got it.
They work for me, and they're very loyal.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful to them. So I'll give them a pat for that. But nothing more than that, because if I will give them more affection than they need,
then there won't be discipline.
Then they won't do as their natural instinct is, because they live outdoors, and they're supposed to be outdoors in the wild, not being petted by a human.
Right.
So they develop a connection with their flock that they're protecting,
and they're living inside. They live
in
the coop
with every. So there's no coops. We have a coop where they go in at night, but during the day they're all out. And
do you have your property gated and stuff?
Right. So the way we work is like this. For example, our egg layers, right? So we have egg layer chickens, and they'll be in a mobile chicken coop built on a trailer.
Right. That's what you move.
And that's what we move. But also, the chickens will eat whatever's around the trailer, all the grass and the bugs and whatever they can get their hands on, whatever nature has to offer in a salad bar right in front of them. But they'll go further and further and further out. But we don't want that for a few reasons. First of all, if there's a hawk, we want them closer to the trailer, so they can actually run underneath the trailer for cover. Even though I have the livestock guardian dog, will start barking, and the hawk will never have a chance, but it's just an extra protection. And there's another thing of managing my grazing process.
Right. You want to know where they are and how much they're eating and where you're going to put them the next day.
Right. So I'm surrounding them with a portable electric net. It's electric fencing that would just poke it into the ground. The dogs and the chickens will stay within that perimeter. That perimeter is around the mobile chicken coop. We'll call it an eggmobile. So every day or every 2 days, depending on how big of a pasture I gave them, we'll come and we'll move them.
Wow.
So they have one livestock guardian dog living with them. Actually, the egg layers have another level of protection, which is guardian goose. It's called a tufted Roman goose. The Romans used to use it back in the day.
Really?
To sound an alarm when the armies are coming and all that.
So the
very
goose...
smart. So the goose have a aerial vision.
What?
So if I
that's a specific breed, a specific type of goose.
This specific type of goose is the best for this specific.
And what? Okay, so
what the goose will spot and nobody else will is a hawk perching on a tree very high up in that branch, surrounded by leaves that you'll never be able to find.
And how does the goose help?
Because the goose will see it and will start making loud noises. Start screaming.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason why they scream so loud is because they want to scare the hawk away.
Right. Is it working? Is the hawk scared of a goose?
They are, because their goose will start flapping their wings to show for their hawk how big they are.
Oh, wow.
So the hawk will start thinking twice. Do I have a chance? A goose is, we're talking about a large, once they open their wings, they're huge. But I don't need them to scare away the hawk that much because I have the dogs. But what I do need them is an alarm.
So the dog knows.
The minute
because they know before the dog knows.
Exactly.
Wow. So they're all working together.
All working together.
Oh my God.
And
you see this, you watch this when you camp there or also by day?
Time.
Like that's only night when all this is happening or also by day?
Hawks don't hunt at night.
Really?
Yeah.
They're daytime.
Yeah. The area.
And how much can they kill already, like hawks? Like
they'll snap a chicken and go. And another thing that we do, the reason why we have the fencing is the way a hawk, again, it's another level of working with nature. How does a hawk come and snatch a chicken? It's like an airplane. It needs to have a landing zone. Mm-hmm. They come down lower. They'll grab a chicken and then immediately do a takeoff. So they don't actually land and eat and leave. They'll come down low, snatch a chicken and take off and go further and eat the chicken elsewhere. Okay, but if there's a eggmobile surrounded by electric fence,
they don't have that.
They don't have a strategy how to work out their landing and their takeoff.
Right.
So they're sitting on that tree for hours on end.
They're literally sitting there and
planning and figuring it out, but they can't. Because they don't have a strategy. From one side they have the goose, on the other side they have a dog barking, and they don't have a strategy because they can't land
the way they're used to.
Right.
Wow. So where'd they go? The next farm?
They'll find that rabbit that I made a rabbit out.
So you feed them?
Of course I feed them.
Wow.
Because I need them also to take care of the snakes.
Who?
The hawks.
Oh, they get rid of
and
anything.
The mice. All the things that I don't want.
Wow. And this is for always this whole system of employees
working
you have
in symbiosis.
And it's always, there's no breaks. It's not like, there's a season when the hawks are not here and then the rabbits are not this and this is not that. I never noticed.
I don't know if we have any hawks during the winter. I think that they may be migrating. I don't know. But you'll have raccoons. You have foxes. You have coyotes. We'll have bears.
Wow.
But the electric fence is really so we have the guard goose as aerial protection from aerial predators, and then we have, if the dogs are sleeping and there's a little rabbit or even a raccoon coming slowly, right? The dogs are not gonna smell them or see them immediately. Mm-hmm. So what the raccoons will do, they'll try to come in, but the first step of protection they have to do is get over that electric fence. If they touch
Can they?
No. Because it's electrolyzed, and the minute they touch it, they'll get zapped, and they'll run where their mother is.
And that is really the best protection?
That is the best protection.
Right, so even...
It doesn't hurt them.
Right.
It just, if you ever got electrocuted, just for a second, that's what it hurts. Right. And for them, it hurts more than us because they're barefoot. It works with the ground, right? So there's a positive and a negative. The negative is actually a ground rod. There's a rod stuck in the ground.
is what...
Right. So if I go barefoot and I touch that, I get a mega shock.
Wow.
Because I'm literally becoming that. But if I have shoes on, it's just going to tickle you a little bit.
Wow.
But a raccoon will need one shot of that. Never
and then they don't come back again because they know.
They know. They learn very fast. And if we forgot to turn on the fence and it actually makes its way in.
That happens?
I don't know. I don't know if it ever happened because the dogs are there. I know, as far as I know, I come in the morning and everybody's alive and well.
Wow. Did you ever have any incidents?
I did have an incident.
Since the backyard?
Where I had a guy came and he took a walk on the property and he went into a field that I don't use because it's very wet, and he said, there's a fresh chicken there. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, there was a kill zone. You can see white feathers all around. A chicken got out. A chicken could fly over that electric fence if it really wants to. But it's not going to, because the only reason why a chicken would want to fly that over, first of all, the chicken knows that it's electrocuted, because they would try run through it and they'll get shocked.
And all these animals, once they need to do it, and then they know.
Right, but the chicken knows that he could fly it over. But physically, psychologically, it won't try because
it has food here.
It has, exactly. If I won't move them often enough, which I found last year, if I would not move them often enough, they'll constantly see that grass and that bug crawling on the other side of the fence.
Wow.
She wants to get out. She wants that warmth.
Oh, wow.
So she's going to fly over. The minute she flew over and she's 100 feet away of her flock, that hawk will get her.
Right, because none of that protection is there.
So if you move them often enough, they have a nice fresh salad bar in front of them.
How often is that?
It's about every 2 days.
Wow. All year. Every 2 days. What do you do
In the winter, what we do is, most chickens are not that great with snow and being really cold. They'll slow down with egg production. So we have a winter shelter. It's with wood chips. We put down wood chips. We call it a carbonaceous diaper. Okay, we put down a bunch of wood chips that will absorb the nitrogen. And every 2-3 days, we put down another layer of wood chips.
And they eat that?
No. It will absorb. Oh, we give them regular feed.
Oh, you have to feed.
Yeah.
And it's indoors, the whole thing?
It's just a plastic cover, but you can't move them. I can't move them with 30 feet of snow.
Oh, right. So these days it's not so many days like that, right?
Right. It's really 4 months.
Oh, so 4 full months you do that?
4 full months.
And you have to every 2 days change the layer?
Not change. Cover. The key is the bottom starts to decompose because the nitrogen and the nitrogen of the manure and the carbon from the trees gets together, and that starts to cook and ferment and to decompose.
Oh, this is a whole other science. Like everything you have outdoor going, now you have a whole system for those 4 months.
Right. What Joel Salatin would do, he would bring his cows in, and he would also do a carbonaceous diaper with wood chips. What he was also do, he would hide corn kernels in there, and as he adds wood chips and the cow manure on it and wood chips on top, by the time the cows go back out into pasture, those corn kernels will start to ferment. Then he brings his pigs in. His pigs will smell the corn, and they'll start to dig up and eat up all the corn. In the process, what they're doing is they're turning it.
Because now it's dug up.
So
and the animals
they're turning it. And so what he's doing is he's creating solid wood chips within no time. It's pure compost.
Wow.
The microbiology that goes on in there, everything starts working immediately, and it breaks it down. And then he puts it into a manure spreader, and he spreads it out in his field.
Huh.
So when he first bought his farm, he had rock. Everything was full of rock. Now he has over 9 inches of topsoil.
Wow. How is your field? How was that when you bought it and how it's now? Was it good land?
The problem is we have a lot of wetlands.
Is there a solution for that?
There's a solution. First of all, animal impact will help. Cows will help, because the reason why it's wet is also because nature. It hasn't been touched for 22 years. So the natural rain will come down. It will go wherever it wants to go. But if I would come and grade a little bit to redivert the water away, also the water retention is not that great because there weren't so many animals on it. But if I put animal on it, they will start eating the grass.
So it starts recycling, not recycling.
Exactly.
It will start being used.
Right. And the water will make its natural streams, and it will find passageways to get away.
You have ever issue with doesn't grow? Like the chickens eat, and now you need it to regrow. Is there ever a time?
No,
what about
because
states
nature
that have,
wants to cover itself, and it will always, unless if again, also something that I learned, if I will leave them too long, then their heavy nitrogen from the manure will actually burn the grass. So it will take forever for the sun to sanitize that. We want the sun to bake on it, sanitize it.
And you need water too as part of the growing.
We need rain and the sun.
So when it doesn't rain, you feel the difference?
I don't grow vegetables, so I don't need the rain. Right. But a drought I've never experienced because our water retention is so great. We store so much water.
Got it.
That it could be no rain for a very long time, but we have luscious green grass.
Wow. How long does it take to regrow?
And the neighbors that keep on plowing, they're dead.
Well, right, because they don't have that natural nutrients that it needs.
They don't have water retention.
How long does it take to a cycle? Like you put the chickens for 2 days and they eat everything up?
So it's funny, we know in Yiddishkeit everything is in numbers, right? 7 and 14 and 21. So grass also has a life cycle, and the life cycle is usually 21 days. 21 days means from when the cow will rip the blade off for it to grow back, ready to go into seed. That's a life cycle of 21 days.
Right.
So if I would get a group of cows through, I would not want to have them back for another 21 days.
Right, because you want to let the process
21
continue.
days, exactly.
Cycle. Are you going to get cows and all that?
Very soon.
Really? That's going to be
very
probably a lot of fun.
Cows and sheep.
Really? Is the property big enough?
Yeah, we have 131 acres.
Huge.
Yeah, super exciting. A lot of good stuff.
Wow. And you're going to get them little and wait for them to grow? You're going to buy
I'm probably going to get impregnated cows and start from there.
Didn't you give birth to...
I didn't, but I have goats.
Didn't you like deliver some goat babies?
Yeah. Also, because I didn't trust in nature, I thought that I needed to step in.
And you can let them do it themselves?
They know everything what to do before to get the baby in there, so they won't know how to get the baby out. Nobody taught them that.
Right.
It's all that people always ask, like what do you do with the milk? I let the babies nurse, but it was so much. I'm like, okay, what does your wife do?
Right.
They'll produce as much as the baby,
will nurse.
Needs.
Yeah.
We're so conditioned that delivering a baby became a medical emergency instead of being a intimate, personal time and place.
My
mother should be delivering a baby in the same position, in the same way where she made that baby. Right. In her bedroom with her husband next to her, and the same oxytocin and the same dopamine that went on while creating that baby needs to happen while delivering that baby. My youngest is
turning 2 soon. Like I think he's 23 months or somewhere there. Yeah, 22 or 23.
How Shulemi?
Shulemi's
how old is
15.
No.
Yeah. He's solid. He's very, very solid. Every time I notice where my jaw drops is seeing how he's a lot like me and so advanced, so ahead, so much better. And it calms my heart to see that.
Just like my son.
Yeah?
my 19-year-old.
Really?
Yeah.
Like I can see him notice something but not get triggered. And it calms my heart to watch it.
Not get triggered.
Triggered. Like someone will say something and I would react.
Get triggered because...
What do you mean?
Because he didn't get impacted or because he's super protected?
No, neither. Because he learned to... found a way. Like your trees, he found a way with things.
Okay.
And he's only 15. And I'm like, how do you do this, man? Like, I'm thinking to myself, and it calms my heart. It's so cool.
Right.
And he's that age, everyone looked at teenagers. I'm like, he's a great teenager.
Yeah.
He's reasonable. He's smart. He's receptive. And I'm receptive. I'm open to hearing, and he has points. Sometimes he makes some good points.
Oh yeah, it's very interesting.
When he's right, he's right.
Yeah.
It's like, and I let him. I don't let everyone. Talking about protective. I can't. I'm functioning. Not every. I learned to not let everyone, but the people that are close to me, I'm receptive, and they know because someone told this to me the other week. Like someone that we talked to. I think she's a coach or a therapist. I don't know. So we talked to her. She's like, well, you raised him this way. So do you expect him not to say this?
Right.
I'm like, oh, I did.
Yeah.
So now it's my turn to listen because this is how we. So
right. They follow us.
Can't believe you have a 19-year-old.
Yeah. Wow. Very scary. Very scary, but he's a great kid.
Yeah.
So that's what we do with the egg layers. That's the way they're set up. And then we have the meat birds, the chickens that we have for meat, and then we have ducks.
So it's different chickens that do egg laying, and the ones that you bring into the farm in order to shecht.
Right. So we get them as day old chicks, and we raise them for 8 weeks, and then they're
right. That was yesterday.
That was yesterday.
Does it ever? Did you ever have a vegan issue? Did you ever feel bad eating what you like brought to life and all that?
What is that?
I don't know. You ever thought about like that, like killing and the?
Honestly, yeah. In the beginning, I would have a real issue with it, especially a goat that we raised and
that's where I had this question specifically around the goat that you're.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You raised
very difficult. But what got me through is really truly believing that was their purpose.
So the cycle.
Hashem gave it to us, lahanas b'benodam, right? We should appreciate it. We should enjoy it. We should nourish ourselves.
And if not religion, would it be different, or is it like the cycle of you?
No, but that's the way I dealt with the emotion.
I got it.
It was kind of a spiritual bypass, right? I dealt with that emotion
by understanding the spiritual dynamic. In practicality, without the spiritual. Oh, so there's for you it would be difficult, and in nature
it was difficult only with specific goats. But when you do a few hundred chickens at a time,
it becomes like systematic. It's like a production.
Yeah. So I don't develop necessarily a relationship. Okay, even with the dogs, the little bit of relationship that they have. I had a male dog that impregnated another dog, and we got more dogs, but I had to get rid of him, right? It was very difficult getting rid of him.
Why'd you get rid of him?
Because he was a male. I didn't have where to keep him. I didn't have how to keep him away from the girls. So
what was that thing when we were teens? It's called, and he was showing these people that would look out and watch, so we behave. No.
Shmira,
something like
whatever. Shmira Sanaim stuff.
Something like people that would watch out to see if there are any teenagers outside. And there's
also nature.
There was a name for it.
Vadatsnias.
Yeah, that's what it is. You need a Vadatsnias for the dogs.
We got that dog. We got 2 dogs originally 2 years ago, a male and a female puppies. And we brought them up together, and they were all together always. And we had babies. But that was a huge shock for me, because suddenly we had 10 babies. And I'm like, that's one too many.
So you sold some of them, or you gave them away?
I gave away, but really, a couple of them died.
Really?
Yeah. Again, I didn't bring them in and cover them and took care of them.
Right.
I let nature take its course.
Right.
And in nature, yes, they'll have 10 babies, but not all of them are going to survive.
Right.
Not all of them will make it through the night.
Right. So
a lot of them will die. So I did not interfere. She went, I don't even know where she delivered.
Wow.
Just suddenly,
so everything happened.
Yeah.
Wow.
Someplace in the field. But then I'd never had experience with dogs. But then I'm like, okay, this is not where I could just sell it for shechita. Like if I have too many goats, just take it to the auction and sell it, right? Over here, dog, you can't do that.
Wow.
I don't want to get stuck with that again.
Right. So you got rid of the dog.
Yeah.
Where'd you send them off to?
It was very difficult, and I ended up giving him away for a Christian church someplace.
What they do with him?
They have a farm with other.
Oh, so they use
places.
him?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It went
back to work.
Back to work.
Nice.
Back to work. So luckily that the puppies that survived were 4 puppies, and they were all females. So now we have 5. We have the mother and 4 daughters. So all 5 of them are working.
That's nice. Wow.
They're all in different flocks in different areas.
Wow.
So it was actually interesting. You asked me before at night, right? That predator thing. So last year we did a camping site. We're doing it this year also. Setting up a camping area where people can come with their tents over Shabbos. Very nice, uplifting experience. And
last year you fed all the guests, right? You prepared food too. You're going to do that this year too?
So this year I gave it out to somebody.
So
I can't deal with it. Right. So I gave it to him. It's his baby. He's going to be doing it.
The food, the hosting, registration.
He's leasing the property from me.
Got it.
that's how disconnected I am from it. I mean, I'm involved because he discusses with me, but I really trust him all the way with that.
Nice.
So last year, 7 a.m., I woke up because the dogs were just not having it. They were yelling and screaming at one corner of the property. And it turns out that Shabbos afternoon, we have a guy that hunts on the property. And he came Shabbos afternoon, and he shows me a picture on the phone that 300 yards away, there was a whole pack of coyotes, 7 a.m. He showed me a picture of it. I said, wait, that was 7 a.m. There was 300.
That's what the dogs were.
The dogs heard or smelled them from 300 yards away.
So how's that work, dog versus coyote? Aren't they going to shrink to the coyotes?
No, dogs are stupid like that. when I had the not stupid like that, but that's nature. Weirdly, when I had them in my backyard, before we bought the farm, we had them as puppies in the backyard, and one Motzei Shabbos we had the same thing. They were barking and barking and barking, and I opened up my back door, and there's a bear standing right outside the electric fence.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to myself, that bear goes like that, and they're like squashed like a mosquito. What are they? I would be
They're
better.
doing their job. They don't know.
They were barking.
And it worked? And the electric fence keeps the
It would keep the bear away.
Keeps even a bear away?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because he gets scared. Also, doesn't know what it is. He suddenly experiencing something he never had in his life.
Wow.
Doesn't know, like, oh, that's a shock. I should probably shut that off.
Right.
It's a shock. I'm like, oh, oops.
Right.
And also, a bear is barefoot. Also, it's gonna hurt.
Right.
But it should. But the barking itself, they put up such a fight just with barking that this bear thinks twice.
Right.
So the dogs are stupid by putting up that fight, and the bear is stupid by walking away because it doesn't really
They're
know.
animals.
Right.
They respond to.
Right.
Right. You're like one with what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You understand every single part of the detail. And when you don't, you understand what you don't.
When I don't, I ask, what do they do?
Yeah,
What would they do in nature?
That's a really cool stam, a mahalach for everything in life, I think, which is what I like to feed off anything I hear. And like, if you like, I can treat it, or I can look at the cause and the root, and then I can like really understand things a lot better, like the bigger picture. But so how, like getting to where you were in the backyard. You had an issue with the township. Was that?
So we were at that point. We were looking for properties.
You were looking already.
We were looking for properties, and we and I started raising in the backyard. But then when we had the dogs, they were very loud at night. Mm-hmm. So somebody gave in a complaint to the township. So the township came. They saw goats. They saw the operation. But by the time I had to appear in court, the goats were already on the farm.
Wow.
So
and that the same land. This is the farm. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's you drive, like you go into work.
50 minutes away. It's like
you go every morning and you come home every afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
We hope one day to move up there very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mitzvah Shem.
On the farm?
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to take it at a few levels up. I want to homestead more. I want to start making more of my own food. I want to do a school.
We spoke about that briefly.
Forest school.
I would love that.
Yeah, but again, it's going to be a drive from here.
I mean, from here it's an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a different.
But again, I don't like the word school because it's not supposed to be an establishment. It's not supposed to be a company, a business. It's supposed to be just a gathering where kids go and explore themselves.
Specifically when they're young.
Yeah, go
like
explore
way
themselves.
Before they.
Yeah, let them chase that frog. You know.
I'm thinking like my son. He's like Levi. He's 6, and he's like we can't think of putting him. Just given his, I'm not talking about it. It's recorded. I'm not talking about everyone. This is not generalizing. It's very personal. There are like thousands of kids, so I can't talk for everyone. But for him, it's like I don't see him in a classroom. He's smart. Yeah, he can learn, study if I shove him up. But he can learn in so many other ways, and specifically because he's 6 and he loves. He can dig for hours.
Right.
I think I told you this when I asked you about a school. I asked you about it.
Right, we spoke about that.
Yeah, he can dig for hours, plant. I want to bring him on the farm one day. I want to bring him
very important when he comes in from digging with his hand. Do you soap his hand well before eating?
My wife is into that.
Yeah, let her stop doing that.
I figured you would say that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I like to do that sometimes, like tell people what to do. No. Here's my issue with it. My issue with it that we're conditioning the kids that whatever you did until now is dangerous. And we need to get that off of you.
Yeah.
But really, what they need is the microbiome underneath their fingernails, because that is what builds their immune system.
Right. I hear that.
We need that. We need to build ourselves. I like to eat a carrot straight pulled out of the ground.
You do?
Yeah, without washing it.
Without peeling it?
Without peeling it and without washing it.
So all the peels, I love, let's say, orange peels. I can eat straight orange peels. I love the sour. I don't like sour candies, but I like orange peels.
Right. It's interesting what you're saying about the peels. My son asked me this morning to cut him up an apple, right? And I was just about to peel it. He's like, no, without the peels. I'm like, really? You eat with the peels? And he's like, sometimes. And it gave me something to think about, that if you go into a restaurant, you're hungry, right? You think, what am I in the mood of? What are you really asking yourself? What is you in the mood of in order to satisfy your taste buds? Or are you asking your inner self, what am I missing? What does my body need right now?
That's a really good question.
Do I need the sandwich? Do I need the carbs? Do I need the sugar? Do I need the iron? Do I need what? Do I need chicken? Do I need beef?
It's a whole other eating experience.
Right, but really that is happening. That conversation is happening subconsciously. Because whatever you're in the mood of is your body is asking for that.
I noticed that with my cravings, how they shift throughout with months. Like I want meat, and then I want chicken, then I want vegan stuff a little, and then I'm back to wanting
and that
meat.
has to do with everything. That has to do with your environment. That has to do with your behavior, and that has to do with the time of the day. It has to do with the weather conditions of how we adjust ourselves.
I can't imagine where you're going with all this, like in your life and your journey. I'm like, I can't even begin to imagine. Like you're so thorough, like you can besides that, you have this whole other side where you actually like Wim Hof stuff and all this regulation stuff, and like you have the farm, you have the healthy eating, you have the healthy vegetation, understanding that, and then understanding really you have this holistic approach to everything, so you can really build on anything that you put your mind to in regards to holistic medicine, holistic It's really cool.
I wanted to go on the farm. I wanted to open up a road inside one of the fields. In order to get from one field to the other, I had to like go onto the neighbor's property. So I wanted to stop doing that. So I wanted to open up a road within my property. But it was all woods. So I took out a chainsaw and we started cutting down some trees. But it really hurted me every tree I cut down, right? But I know, again, in order to get what I want, sometimes you have to sacrifice. So a road is called a sacrifice zone.
Do you have to deal a lot with legalities? Is it a big part of your work?
No. There's so many grants that the government would give for farmers, right?
Yeah.
I have none of that.
How come?
I don't want the government on my property.
Because once they give grants, they come to...
Once they know I exist, they want to know everything that I do. I don't want them anywhere near me. Not because I'm doing things illegal. I just don't want them to start telling me what I could and what I cannot do.
They will? In your current operation, they would?
They could. Does the government require me to sell chicken that's vaccinated? I don't think there's a regulation for that. But my chickens are not vaccinated.
They might, and one day they might decide that you need to.
Yeah. I'm under the radar.
I shouldn't leave this on?
I don't care. It's good for customers there. I don't care. Even who's going to hear? The government is going to hear our podcast?
No. Maybe. Who knows? Well, today
all after the bigger fish.
Yeah, but all listening today is software. It's not people listening in. Right. It's keywords, the things they're interested in. So we're not going to say the word bomb. Because now we'll have a problem, a racial problem. It's not even a life and death issue. That's what it's become.
Yeah, life and death it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a racial problem. Right. That's the issue with
just
the saying.
Just don't question anybody else's thoughts.
Yeah. Like a lot of things that used to be about one thing is now about race.
All right.
Which is interesting that so many things became political.
It's very understandable. If you know what the goal is, you could definitely see everything falling into place, what their agenda is.
Someone shared with me, a mentor of mine the other day shared with me that the frequency of politics is one that he doesn't want to spend much time in. It's like who he becomes in political arguments or conversation, even reading the news, it's like, it's like he just doesn't want to spend much time there. Like there's so many better things to do for him
with
his life. It's like when you spend your day on the farm, there's like politics just doesn't belong there. It's all
right, but we do need to be aware of what's going on. Not to listen and read the politics because I need to control who's going to win the election.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be busy with that all morning in the mikveh. No, but I think it's super important to know what's going on around us.
Yeah,
and make your own. Use your own thoughts. People always ask me questions. I always answer, I don't know. What do you think? Let's explore that together. Because it's not like, oh, I heard it from Shulem Gelbman. No. What do you think? Have you ever looked into your own self? Of how does that make sense to you? How does that sit with you?
Right. Because a lot of what you're into is nature, which has a process. It's there if I believe it or not.
Right.
It works the way it works, regardless of what
It works. Don't you need to help the goats giving birth? No. Why would that be a conditioning that I have to? I understand
is that a thing, like an argument in your circles? If you need to help
people
them
are very
birth or not?
People are very upset that I don't bring the goats in and I don't give them fresh hay where to give birth.
And you trust that they know what they're doing.
Because I know a day or two before she's about to give birth, I know she's about to give birth because I could see her on the other side of a pasture in a corner nesting.
Mm-hmm.
She just arranged the grass in a spot where she's going to give birth.
Wow. So they really, really take care of themselves.
Absolutely.
You think humans are like that too?
Oh, absolutely.
So
we're conditioned not to.
Right.
I always ask this question: when does it happen? A child is born, knows it's hungry and it cries and it gets food, right? So it knows how to take care of itself, right? When something bothers, it'll cry and it'll get what it needs, right? A child learns how to talk by listening to parents, right? Learns how to crawl, how to walk by experimenting. At which point do we need to take that same child that managed perfectly how to do everything it does right now and say, okay, you are by default a problem. You need to sit by this desk now for the next 6 hours and we're going to have to teach you things.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to be taught. They have to learn. And they learn by watching. At which point does the child become something that I need to inject now?
Well, as soon as the parents are scared. So their way of dealing with the fear is to force a certain thing that they think is safe.
And I'm saying the school system, even
it's a fear-based system. I'm not. It's interesting because my big one, Shlomi, is doing really does well with it, and then Levi is so different, and it's like, but that doesn't change that a lot of these systems, even the one he's doing well in, is still based on fear. It's fear-based. If you're not going to get the A, how are you going to get into a good college? And he's like, I'm not going to get into a good college, get into a B college. And what are you going to do then?
No, the problem is
I'm fine. What are you so scared?
The problem starts that we have a thing that's called A or B or C.
Yeah.
We have scores.
Yeah, other countries have changed it.
We monitor them.
Yeah.
What happened to each child their own?
Yeah.
I heard this thing. You have to let children do dangerous things carefully. Trust them. Let them climb up that tree.
Yeah.
Let them. Okay, so he's going to fall down. It's going to hurt. He's going to get up and he's going to discover himself.
Yeah, Rabbi Rieti, I heard a speech from him years back about chinuch, and he says a mechanech, chinuch is the shorish of the word as chen. And what's chen? V'nim to chen, which means that every person has their individual chen.
You just have to be menimtzu. You have to find that.
Yeah.
Everyone has
that. It has
that.
to be allowed and embraced rather than taught.
Yeah.
Like rather than oh, this is how you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I saw that with me. Like a lot of times when my kids come up to the farm, right? In the beginning, I was very, very ungezogen, very stressed of oh my gosh, where are they going to go? I need to teach him how to use the machine before he touches it, right? But sometimes, no, you don't have to teach. Just show him how it works. He'll figure it out.
It's a different thing. To show them how.
And teaching them how. Just a little bit of trust. He wants to go. My son came up with a friend, right? I was so stressed of where they're going to go. Am I going to ever find them? Then I just looked away. They're 10-year-olds.
Right. Yeah, a lot of.
Just let them go. And they disappeared for half an hour, 20 minutes. All of a sudden, I saw them that corner of the property and that corner of the property. But they felt at ease. They felt relaxed. And they discovered themselves. They collected twigs and they built stuff and they climbed on things and they found snakes and squirrels and things. And they touched it even and nobody yelled at them for touching it. And
that's wild. How do you stay on your game? How do you show up every day? You show up. Can you go on vacation? Can you even take a break?
Thankfully, I have a worker that lives on the property. I have a guy that lives there because life goes on. Shabbos, Yom Tov, when I'm not there.
Right.
Also, now the operation, the chickens need to... On Shabbos, when I had them in my backyard, I was able to feed them and give them to drink.
Right.
Now, it's just... You need to get there with an ATV or a tractor. You need to schlep bigger stuff, and it's an operation. So I needed that guy to be able to do that. So I do have a little bit of flexibility of not having to show up the first thing in the morning. So right now I'm still a one-man band. I'll do deliveries. I don't do deliveries that often anymore, but I used to do all the deliveries and taking orders.
And you literally go everywhere. You go from Lakewood, Brooklyn, Jersey.
Then I went down to doing it only once a week, and now I don't really do it anymore. I only try to go once a month to maintain that relationship with the customer.
How do they get it if not you're delivering?
Messenger service. They have to pay a delivery fee, whether I deliver it or not. But I like to maintain that relationship where a customer gets delivered from the farmer.
Wow.
Because I have a lot of customers that are with me from the beginning.
Right.
And they still see me. They see me on the status, right? On the videos that I post. And they're like, okay, the same guy that just shechted the chicken, that just raised this chicken and all that, the same guy that's by my door. Delivering it. There's a relationship there that we develop with each and every customer. And I love that. And I don't want to lose touch of that. So I try to make my business every couple of weeks to designate, okay, this week I'm doing deliveries.
Wow. That keeps you motivated too, knowing that you have this
and
people that you...
And it gives me a lot of chizuk, yeah. You know, people are complimenting me and I need that. I need the compliment. I need to know that I'm doing good. I need reassurance from the customers like, hey, your product is good. Everybody needs that, right?
Yeah. There's a healthy way of
absolutely.
Yeah, it's a big part of well-being.
See, I just had to say everybody needs that because I doubted myself if I'm different or not. Like, I know everybody needs that. Yeah, right? But
it's like part of the growth journey is like I'm parenting myself. I think that's base level. So I'm functioning even when something goes bad and I don't have the reassurance. So I don't completely. So I can manage. But then we're meant to be with one another.
Right. Like, it's a question of functioning or surviving. It's a huge difference.
Yeah. To get myself to base level. It's just so I function or... And then engaging in relationship is so... I like that you have the intention of doing that for that reason. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Like you allow yourself to receive that. It's really cool.
Yeah. It means so much to me. Sometimes I had this customer stop me. And he asked me, milchig or fleischig? I said, I'm parv, but I don't need anything. But he had already a coffee made.
Wow.
It's special. It's real. He couldn't say how much he appreciates me because of his own, whatever he has. But sometimes a suggestion.
It's a different love language.
Yeah, it's a different love language. And another water bottle or something in the summer. But it's that like, wow, people are special.
It's really nice when to have that type of relationship with the world.
Yeah.
It's so easy to find the dark. There's so much. It's so easy to.
Especially for me, I'm so judgmental of other people. I'll always, and my own insecurities will always redirect my thought that person meant bad and he means bad and he is bad.
Which is a protecting. It's a layer of protection.
Of course.
But then you consciously, like I mentioned before we started,
I have to always
you
reroute my thought.
You consciously do that, and you pick up the phone. You sent me the voice note, and that was so cool.
Yeah, I did. That was subconsciously. I said so that. Cool. Then when I hung up, I'm like,
no. I'm gonna reroute myself to truth and to.
No, I left late. Yeah,
that was real. That was nice. I love that. It's these little things that give me so much calm when I find other people that can be like that, and the fact that you value your honesty so much.
That makes me grow. That makes me into who I am. Because if I don't do that, then I'm not really who I am. I just lied. I didn't lie.
Yeah, it's these in-betweens.
It's these in-betweens. So I'm living a life that is not truly who I am.
Right. And then I get triggered from things or triggered or like offended from everything because I'm not living in my own skin.
Right.
The smallest thing
if
throws me
I would
off.
hear that voice note from somebody else, I would be like, yeah, right.
Right.
You just left.
Yeah, I thought that. But I didn't
Of course
I personally didn't care, but enough. But I really enjoyed your other one just for the value system you live in. Yeah. It's like really wonderful to hear that. In regards to what gets you up, like is there a specific, like if you think about it now, like what gets you every day there?
I know that people depend on me.
Nice.
It's now that I'm doing it for a living. It's a different stress factor because I have to make it happen because I have to earn a paycheck. But really, 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 I enjoyed doing it, and by knowing that people actually depend on this, people who never used to eat chicken or never had eggs, or kids that are supposedly allergic to eggs and dairy and chicken and all that, all of a sudden, once they tasted from ours and they're not allergic anymore.
Wow.
There are kids depending on that. There are kids that eat only eggs from our farm, and that's it. That's all they eat.
And I hear you're the only one, almost the only one.
There is another one. There's another one, but I think I am the only one that does it by themselves. Meaning you'll find there's a few more people that take from farmers.
Got it. They do
I am the farmer.
That's really cool.
I was able to come here now, but right before I stepped in, I hung up the phone with my guy, going through the schedule of everybody ate and everybody drank and we're good for the day. Wow. Everybody was moved and we're good. I can come in here.
Wow.
Other people, the other 2-3 companies that exist don't have that stress.
Right. So there's something about that.
So I am the farmer. Right. So I think I'm the only one. And this is what actually pushed me in, because when I started listening to Joel Salatin, and I'm like, wait, does it even exist? And I started I started looking up, and I found those places. So innocently, I called them and I said, hey, can I come visit your farm?
Oh, wow.
And they're like, we don't have a farm. I'm like, oops, okay.
Wow.
I need to have a farm.
Wow. And you had that vision so long ago. It's wild.
Yeah. And I have an open door policy. People always ask, like, what do you feed them or that? I always encourage people, come and see for yourself.
Yeah.
There is no locked doors. We have an open door policy 24/7.
Wow.
Come in and see for yourself.
Go
in and read the label on that bag that I feed the chicken.
Wow.
You'll see.
So a lot of authenticity in the way you do things.
Very open, very
transparent. I don't think you like lies a lot. Like lies get you.
That is a huge no.
Like don't lie to me. No. So you run your thing 100% authentic, and that's your way.
Was very. I said that's what we need. We need somebody that will do it, and we need somebody that is going to be open.
Yeah, and your values as a person is sort of it works with the farm. It's like what you live by and how you feed the animals and what you do.
And I give farm tours. People come. I encourage people to come. I wonder. It's another thing. I love when kids realize that chicken doesn't come from aisle 4 and eggs doesn't come from aisle 5. It starts someplace.
Right.
It's heartbreaking that I went to an expo on Sunday. We exhibited at an expo, a health food expo. And a mother brought her children, and I had some live baby chicks. So a kid asks me innocently, how old does the chicken have to be in order to produce chicken soup? I know it's child innocence and all that, but how far are we?
Right.
We are so far that it could even happen.
Right.
When I had chickens in my backyard, always the neighbors used to come and go. People walk through the backyard. There was a guy, he's a huge Talmud Chacham. And he came over and he looks and he started asking about the chickens. After going into conversation about the eggs, I realized that something is mixing up. Realized he thought that a rooster lays eggs that we eat, and a hen will lay eggs to reproduce.
Huh.
You're talking about a grown man that has grandkids.
Right.
We are so far.
Right. From connection with that cycle of nature.
We need to come back home.
Right.
We need to reconnect because this is who we are. We are that.
Right.
We would be so much better if we would live this lifestyle. Instead of sitting in an office with barely getting any fresh air.
Yeah.
Our eyes don't know. We can't give messages to our brain when to produce melatonin because we don't know what time of day is.
Right.
And it comes at night. We can't fall asleep. Well, duh. You didn't wake up with the sun. Your eyes don't know when it's morning, when it's afternoon, when it's night. The solar messages that you get, it doesn't communicate with your brain. Your brain doesn't produce all the vitamins and minerals and hormones that it has to produce to function because all that communicates one another.
Right, sunlight.
And not only that, we sit by a computer all day long.
Right.
This blue light.
You know Dr. Huberman? He's phenomenal. So he talks about sunlight and how starting the day with 30 minutes of direct exposure to sunlight is omega-3, vitamin D, all these things. I'm not sure if omega-3, but vitamin D, right?
Yeah. The sun is all vitamin D. In simple perspectives is to understand that our body produces hormones and receives everything it needs to receive only by the eyes, communicating with the sun.
Wow.
What time of day is. We know now that mother's milk, for example, if a mother is going to pump at night and she's going to give that milk for the child in the morning, the baby's going to fall asleep. Because the melatonin in the milk was high when she pumped because she was out in the sun and she knew what time of day it is. So she started producing melatonin.
Wow.
But we're so disconnected from that. Like, we don't know why is the baby sleeping so long, right?
So the food, again,
so
the cycle.
If you pump, write down not only the date, write down the time of day.
Right.
We are that. We are nature. Just like a flower needs sun to grow, we need sun to be human.
I like your exercises, like going into the woods, taking your shoes off, doing some breath work, and really grounding with that.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law took a training with a guy named Michael Trotta, and he lives in Westchester. Westchester apparently has some serious backcountry.
Yeah.
There's some neighborhoods that's wild with water and animals and nature. I heard of that. So he has some couple of acres in Westchester. He has a nature coaching thing. Like, he trains people to be, or he's a coach, and his paradigm, his method is through nature, which means our reality is nature. And she trained with him, and a lot of the work she does is, I've been to his property once, like the seasons, the emotions, like everything we are is nature.
Right.
Like you said, we are nature. So he has a whole...
And eating in season also is a huge part of it. Eating oranges in the summer or apples in the winter could also affect you.
Really?
Because your body right now is acclimated for the weather.
So the vitamins.
Your digestive system, everything is for the weather right now.
Wow.
And suddenly you're going to eat that cherries in the middle of the winter. Like,
Right. You started a story, and maybe we can finish with the end of that story. The story you started was the doctor said you cannot have any kids.
Right. And we switched our life around, and we started eating only healthy. That it happened at the same time when I didn't want to take the Humira, and when I realized that light bulb went off, where if a natural thing could be an anti-inflammatory, then it means that all the other food that we eat is the fuel for the fire. So we started eliminating all those foods, highly processed foods, seed oils, foods that we cannot make at home. Started reading ingredients. You don't even have to jump to organic. Just starting reading ingredients, familiarize yourself with the ingredients that it has. All those words that you can't pronounce and you can't read. Actually, what is that? Why do I need that? Why do they put it in there?
Right.
And start eliminating all that. And just what I said, nature is very modest and wants to cover itself, right? Which means that if it has a boo-boo, it's going to heal, right? And if we allow ourselves, if we give ourselves an opportunity, we can heal. So whatever illnesses we have, we can heal by eliminating those things that are the causes.
And then baby was born 7 weeks ago.
And then baby was born.
Mazel tov. It's wild.
It's
wild that your journey can lead to a life. While doctors would say they're not. That's really.
Doctor says that you have whatever it is, wow. and it's not just the baby. It's literally the arthritis.
Right.
Right. For the doctor to tell me this is your life.
And you work on a farm every day. That's.
He told me that with my arthritis, he said, "This is your life. You're going to be struggling for the rest of your life. You're going to be living on these things for the rest of your life." Like. How? That's not what Hashem intended. That's not how we are designed. Right. It has to be something deeper. None of the doctors ever asked what do you eat? First thing they eat is a coffee, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The coffee is highly processed because of the instant coffee, right? Yeah. Let's talk about the shul. You go into shul, you make yourself an instant coffee. Instant coffee is highly processed. Very, very, very toxic and moldy because the coffee beans are moldy. Okay. You pour it into a foam cup. Super toxic. And you drink it with milk that is pasteurized and full of antibiotics. So there goes on an empty, healthy stomach. You're giving all that chemical. You're giving that a dose of no goods.
Yeah, it's a. I'm thinking. I actually thought about our conversation, and I almost didn't want to get into it, like when we spoke about it first, because I know how much commitment it takes to actually live a lifestyle of. But I like what you said.
For somebody that is healthy now, it's a commitment. For me, it wasn't so much a commitment. Right. You know, they say farm like your life depends on it because it may just one day.
Wow.
And to me, it was literally that. My life depended on it. But again, I didn't even know at the time.
Right.
It was just very slowly, all of a sudden changes. Like, wow, I haven't had an attack in such a long time.
Wow. Yeah, I think for me, a big takeaway is that line that you said, that like it's what you eat most of the time that matters. Yeah, I really think that's a very tangible takeaway from everything. Besides that, it's fascinating. I can picture the whole animal kingdom working on your farm. Yeah. Besides the fascination and the storytelling, which you're a great storyteller.
Oh, okay.
Like you put it out so delicately in the details. But the takeaway in regards to well-being and health is really that it doesn't need to be all or nothing. It could be most of what I do should be good.
Just pay attention to the ingredients. Pay attention to what it is, and I think most of all is listen to yourself. Listen to your body.
That other thing.
Tune in and listen to your body. What is your body asking for?
Right.
Is it asking for that candy, or is it really asking for something else?
Right.
And nourish your body what it wants, what it really needs.
Excellent. Thank you, Shulem.